let's do one quick thing to this code, because you notice things are starting to get kind of a little bit sloppy in the code. So I'm going to take all of this code and let me show you a tool that I like to use called Free Formatter. You will see me use it frequently. So I'm going to go to freeformatter.com. Let me move this down so you can see it right there, freeformatter.com. And I'm going to go to HTML formatter. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm already there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my code editor or to CodePen. I'm going to copy, select all the code, copy it, and go back to Free Formatter, and I'm going to paste it in place. Okay, let me move this back up so you can see kind of where we are, and I'm going to say Format HTML. So I click Format HTML, and now it formats it all, makes the spacing nice and even. So I'm going to copy all of that, go back to my code editor or back over to CodePen. I'm going to paste it in place, and now look at that. Everything's in line. I will tell you, I always like to add an extra return after those to space them out a little bit, but that's okay. It's pretty easy to do. So now all these styles are in place. I will also say that I like to have my styles indented one space over so that they stand out and they look like that typical nested style that I've come to know and love. So freeformatter.com is a great tool. I use it frequently, and I try to, honestly, I use it very often when I'm doing lots of coding, because the code will get sloppy over time, and I'll just have to reformat it. All right, so there, it doesn't change the appearance of the actual document or of the actual page. So there's going to be no change over here for this, but at the same time, it will at least make it easier to navigate the code. So we're in this code. We've got our comments in place. Let's take a quick look at this. So when we go back over here and we look down through here, we see what we've got is this bullet list, okay, that has that class of styled list on it, acts very different than this bullet list, okay? So what did I do? This is where those comments come into play so that I can quickly remember and read to you what it is that I was doing. So this first thing says the entire list, top to bottom, the entire unordered list from this first bullet all the way to this last bullet right down here, is going to have the list style type of none. That removes its default typical round circular bullet. It adds a little bit of margin to the list itself, and then it adds or it removes the default padding because I have that set to 0. So let's take a look at that. We've got a little bit of extra space on the top of the list up here, and a little bit of extra space at the bottom of the list, okay? Now let's look at the list item. In any unordered list that has the class of styled list, the list items are going to be treated like this. First off, we're going to have a margin on top and bottom of 10 pixels. That adds space between each item of 10 pixels. So let's look at that. Look right here. I'm going to measure that. So I'm going to go from the bottom of that one to the top of this one right here, and that's 10 pixels. See? And I didn't need to take a screenshot of that 10 pixel spot, but you see what I'm talking about. Between each one of these is 10 pixels of space. Okay, padding is an additional 10 pixels to make the tap area, to have a click or tap area. Think about the size of your finger, and if this is on a screen, you might want it to be large enough so that your finger feels comfortably like it's about to press a button or to tap on that surface. Okay, so that little bit of 10 extra pixels top and bottom, left and right. Let's take a look at that, because you notice margin has 10, 0. And I want you to remember that your margin and padding, it works on things. First, you're setting the top, then you're setting the right, then you're setting the bottom, and finally you're setting the left measurement, okay? However, you can actually make it top slash bottom and right slash left, okay? And how does that work? All right, let me see if I can explain this to you. First off, the acronym to remember is top, right, bottom, left. Trouble. Top, right, bottom, left, okay? So in reality, this margin measurement is actually 0px, px, 10px, and 0px. So if I save that and refresh, you shouldn't see any difference. But they found a shorthand way of doing it, saying alternate between these first two. If it's 0, we don't need px. It's 0 anything. 0 rim, 0 px, 0 cats. Anything you could measure by, it's 0, okay? However, when we actually have an amount here, we have to say, well, 0 times what? 0 times inches, 0 times pixels. In this case, pixels, all right? So it's 10 pixels on the top, 0 pixels on the right. But there's nothing after that. So we go back to the first number and we say, okay, well then that means 10 pixels on the bottom and 0 pixels on the left, okay? So remember, it goes top, bottom, top, right, bottom, left. Trouble. But if you only see top and right, that is also the exact same as bottom and left. Okay, so they are going to just simply alternate. I hope that makes sense. And then we'll take a quick look at what the rest of these do. Background color sets a light background color. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to save real quick and refresh. I'm going to change to 050505. So save and refresh. And you notice it's almost black. Here, let's make it a gray color. 555, 555. Hit save and refresh. It's a dark gray, okay? Notice that my comment says it's a light background color, but it's not now. So let's take it back to that light color and refresh. And now we see that right there is a light background color. It's got a left-hand border right there of this kind of bluish color right here on the side. It has a font size of 16 pixels, a line height of 1.5. I would probably put rim there. I would probably make this 1.5 rim. That's how I would do it. I like rim measurements. So save, refresh. Oh, that's a big text. So let's make it 1 rim. Save and refresh. Oh, that's better. Maybe you put 1.2, save and refresh. It's a little easier to read. Line height, we've got a box shadow. Ooh, that's interesting. A subtle shadow for depth. Look, you see a shadow underneath this little box. Now I want to show you the before. This is a custom bullet we're going to add right before the list item. We're going to add this customized bullet, and we actually specified what the bullet is. You can make it an image, you can make it a shape, a specific character. Here I'm going to change it to this and save and hit refresh. Now you notice I've got that double arrow look. Okay, let's change it back. Font size is 20 pixels. I'm going to go on ahead and just say 1.5 rim because that's what I prefer. And then let's see, vertical align middle, so we want the contents of the bullet to be vertically aligned to the middle. No, to specifically to this content here, we want it to be vertically aligned to the middle of the vertical space there. And then this one is the one I want to call out, hover. I'm adding a hover effect so that when my mouse goes over top of any one of these items, that it changes the background color, it changes the end of this kind of blue here to a darker blue. And there you see that it gives it a cursor to indicate that it's interactive. Slightly changes the background color and changes the background on the hover. So it changes the left border and it changes the background color. And you can see that as we hover over it. So that is what happens with these styles. Now let's quickly scroll down all the way to the end of this and see how I added it. Remember, this is a class. Up in the top, the words styled list actually have a period before it. Class equals styled list. Class equals styled list. That's how you call that out. Now let's go back to that style and look at it again and see where I'm getting that. It only applies to anything that is a UL. And any UL where the word styled list appears, then the list item will gain this hover interactivity. The list item will have a different style bullet before it. The list item will also have these attributes, and the list itself overall will have these attributes. Okay, so we went through those and what they look like, but remember, any unordered list where the class is styled list. And how do we know it's a class? Because it starts with a period. Okay? If you have questions about this, feel free to shoot them back to me. I will try to respond in email, or at least we can discuss it in class. I'll see you in the next video and see you on Monday.